The second the mission failed, I was being forcibly drained of blood outside the operating room. The female CEO's golden boy needed a backup supply, and I was the only match for his rare blood type. She looked at me with cold indifference. Take more. If anything happens to Julian, I'll bury you with him. The man inside the operating room peered through the crack in the door, offering a mocking smirk. Thanks, spare tire. Ignoring the nurse's protests, I ripped the 4-needle from my arm. Blood sprayed across her expensive couture gown. Are you crazy? Julian is waiting, she screamed, rushing forward to strike me. I caught her wrist in a reverse grip and slammed her hard against the wall. If he dies, he dies. What the hell does that have to do with me? Watching her expression of disbelief, I crushed the blood bag on the floor beneath my shoe. Starting today, I don't love you anymore. Go to hell together. A cold, mechanical voice echoed in my brain. Target: Victoria Sterling. Affection level locked at -100. Strategy mission failed. System restrictions lifted. Host Caleb Stone, welcome back. For the first time in 3 years, I had full control over my own body. The nurse stood by, urging Mr. Stone, the blood bank is critical. Ms. Sterling ordered 400 cubic centimeters for backup. Victoria Sterling stood nearby, arms crossed, scrutinizing me as if I were an inanimate object. Her childhood sweetheart, Julian Thorne, had just been wheeled in, and she immediately dragged me here to bleed for him, just because we shared the same rare blood type. Through the crack in the door, Julian poked his head out, gauze wrapped around his face, his eyes frivolous and smug. Victoria, hurry him up. I'm feeling dizzy. He mouthed the words at me silently. Thanks, dog. 3 years of memories flooded back like a tidal wave. Scenes of humility being trampled on, the total loss of dignity. It was nauseatingly clear. I yanked the needle out completely. The tip tore my skin, bringing out a string of blood beads. Splatter. Blood landed on Victoria's pristine white Chanel dress, blooming like red winter plums in snow. She froze. The nurse froze. Mr. Stone, what are you doing? Victoria's face instantly darkened. She stormed over, raising her hand to slap me. Caleb, have you lost your mind? I easily caught her wrist. It was thin. It felt like it would snap with a single bend. In the past, touching her was a luxury I didn't dare dream of. Now, I only wanted to crush it. With a little pressure, a look of pain appeared on Victoria's face. Let go. I threw her hand aside. The massive force sent her stumbling into the wall behind her. Her expensive dress smeared against the drywall, mixing with my blood, a total mess. If he dies, he dies. What does it matter to me? My voice was calm, yet it solidified the air in the corridor. Victoria held the wall, trembling with rage. Who do you think you are? Treating me like this? She pointed at my nose and shrieked, losing her composure in front of me for the first time. Security? Where is security? Grab this lunatic. 2 guards ran over, flanking me. Sir, please calm down. Victoria crossed her arms, regaining her arrogant posture. Hold him down. Send him to sober up. She was convinced I was just throwing a tantrum to get her attention. Unfortunately, she was wrong. I sidestepped the guard's reaching hand and twisted his wrist back. R. A pig-like squeal echoed as the man instantly dropped to his knees. The other guard, frightened by my aura, held up his baton but dared not advance. I dusted non-existent lint from my sleeve and walked toward Victoria step by step. For the first time, an emotion called fear appeared in her eyes, and her body involuntarily shrank back. Inside the operating room, Julian was still clamoring. Victoria, get that dog in here to bleed, or I'll die right now. I stopped in front of Victoria. Under her terrified gaze, I leaned into her ear. In a voice only we could hear, I spoke word by word. You think I love you? I was just playing a garbage game called Winning Victoria Sterling. It's a pity. Someone of your quality isn't worth it. I saw the color drain from her face instantly. She was whiter than the walls. This sentence was more humiliating to her than 100 slaps. I straightened up and took out the supplementary bank card she had given me. In front of everyone, I used both hands to snap it. Crack. I threw the halves at her feet. Buy your own dog treats from now on. Without another glance, I turned and strode away. Behind me, there was dead silence. I returned to the home Victoria had arranged for me. A 2,000-square-foot penthouse overlooking the river, decorated in the minimalist style she liked. There wasn't a trace of me here. I was just a temporary guest. My belongings were pitifully few. A single suitcase could hold them all. I blocked all of Victoria's contact information and deleted every photo of her from my phone. After doing all this, I felt the foul air that had accumulated in my chest for 3 years finally expel. Meanwhile, at the hospital, the doctor came out of the operating room, taking off his mask with a baffled look. Ms. Sterling, Mr. Thorne only grazed the skin on his forehead. He didn't even need stitches, just disinfection and a bandage. You were all so tense. I thought it was a major car accident. The doctor complained. The backup blood was completely unnecessary. Isn't this a waste of medical resources? Victoria's face turned green, then white. She had been played. By Julian and by me. An indescribable anger and sense of shame welled up in her heart. She immediately took out her phone and dialed my number. The number you have dialed is on another call. She dialed again. The number you have dialed is powered off. She was blocked. This realization made her furious, and she drove straight back to the apartment. Retaining her last bit of reason, she didn't kick the door but used her fingerprint to unlock it. The door opened. Greeting her was an empty room, and on the entryway console, that cold set of keys. I was really gone. Gone so decisively, leaving no trace. She didn't give up and used a different number to call me. The call connected. Caleb Stone. Her voice carried a commanding rage. Get back here immediately and apologize to Julian. Don't force me to make it impossible for you to survive in Chicago. I listened to her imperious command without saying a word. I hung up directly and blocked that number too. This woman still thought she could control me. Using the massive inheritance left by the original owner of this body before I transmigrated into this story, I checked into the most exclusive hotel in the city, the Grand Hyatt. It was money Victoria would never know about. She always thought I had nothing and could only survive by relying on her. The presidential suite offered an excellent view, taking in the entire night skyline of Chicago. I poured a glass of red wine and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. I picked up. Caleb, this is Alexandra Pierce. A crisp, bright female voice came through. You were very handsome in the hospital corridor just now. I raised an eyebrow. Alexandra Pierce, the eldest daughter of the Pierce family, a top-tier dynasty from the East Coast, and the first partner I intended to seek out after my return. I didn't expect her to contact me first. Is Ms. Pierce interested in hospital drama? No, I'm only interested in strong people. She chuckled on the other end. I'm in the hotel's executive lounge. Interested in coming down for a drink? And incidentally, to discuss something we're both interested in, like how to make Victoria Sterling kneel and beg you. I hooked the corner of my mouth. I'll be right there. In the executive lounge, Alexandra was wearing an eye-catching red dress, sitting by the bar. Her figure was hot, her appearance striking. Like a blooming red rose, she instantly attracted the attention of the entire room. I walked over and sat beside her. Ms. Pierce is very efficient. She swirled the whiskey in her glass and looked at me. I investigated you, Caleb. 3 years ago, you suddenly appeared in Chicago and became the most obedient lapdog around Victoria Sterling. You drank for her, took beatings for her, handled every mess she didn't want to deal with. Everyone treated you as a joke, a gold digger relying on a woman to climb the ladder. She paused, then changed her tone. But I can't find any information about you from before 3 years ago. It's like you appeared out of thin air. Would a man who can silently erase all traces of his past be a simple simp? I chuckled lightly. As expected of the Pierce air, terrifyingly sharp. So Ms. Pierce found me today to probe my secrets. No. She slid a document in front of me. I came to collaborate with you. I opened the file. It was a bid proposal for the East Side Sky Ring project. This was the most important project for Victoria's company next quarter, worth $3 billion. Victoria has been preparing for this project for half a year, Alexandra said. But she doesn't know that the biggest partner in the project, the true owner behind Vantage Capital, is you. This was exactly the first big gift I had prepared for Victoria. The most important part of the inheritance left by the original owner was the controlling stake in this Vantage Capital. What do you want to do? Alexandra asked with interest. I want her to have absolutely nothing. My tone was flat, but Alexandra heard the monstrous hatred within it. She smiled, looking even more radiant. I like your plan. She raised her glass. To our common enemy. I clinked glasses with her. Cheers. Just then, a commotion came from the lounge entrance. Victoria and Julian, dressed to the nines, had arrived. They seemed to be attending a small business party held here. Victoria had changed into a black evening gown, her makeup exquisite, transforming back into that aloof Ice Queen CEO. Julian had a piece of gauze on his forehead, which didn't affect his looks but added a touch of fragility, drawing sympathy from many socialites. They quickly spotted me, and Alexandra beside me. Victoria's pupils constricted sharply. Julian walked straight over, malice undisguised on his face. His voice wasn't loud, but just enough for those around to hear. Yo, isn't this the dog Victoria keeps? What, did the leash break, so you ran here to beg for food? Stifled snickers rippled through the surroundings. Victoria stood still, not stopping him, the corners of her mouth even holding a cold sneer. She was waiting to see me make a fool of myself, waiting for me to lower my head and roll away like I used to. Before I could speak, Alexandra stood up. She was half a head taller than Victoria, even in heels, her aura fully unleashed. She naturally looped her arm through mine, an intimate gesture. Darling, so here you are. Why waste time with irrelevant people? The room went into an uproar. Everyone's eyes focused on us, full of shock and disbelief. Who didn't know Alexandra Pierce's status? The heiress of the Pierce family, worth 10 times more than Victoria. And she called Caleb Stone darling? Julian's face froze instantly. Victoria's expression became ugly in the extreme. I looked at Julian and smiled calmly. So, it's Mr. Thorne. Heard you almost died from blood loss a few days ago. A pity. Why didn't you just die? One sentence turned Julian's face from white to green, then to black. I ignored him and took out the Patek Philippe watch Victoria had once rewarded me with from my suit pocket. I still remembered her expression of charity when she gave it to me. Caleb, this watch suits you. It's your honor. Now, in front of everyone, I handed this watch worth $1 million to a passing waiter. Take it and buy yourself a drink. This watch is too cheap. It doesn't suit my wrist. A gasp of cold air hissed through the room. Victoria's face instantly turned livid. That watch was one of her favorite collectibles, and now I had discarded it like trash. This was more embarrassing than slapping her in public. Alexandra chuckled, delivering a subtle follow-up blow. Indeed, Caleb's wrist is only fit for the King of Time I won at auction in Geneva last week. The King of Time, of Vacheron Constantin Les Cabinottiers, limited to one in the world, sold for $18 million. Alexandra's words were like a heavy hammer, thoroughly shattering Victoria's remaining dignity. She stood there, accepting the looks of sympathy, ridicule, and schadenfreude from those around her, feeling as if she had fallen into an ice cave. The party ended on a sour note. Victoria and Julian became the newest laughingstocks of Chicago's high society. Did you hear? Victoria's simp actually climbed up to the Pierce heiress. More than that, he publicly called Victoria's $1 million gift trash. TSK. The tables really turned. Used to see that guy Stone acting like a dog, didn't expect this. These rumors were like knives, slicing into Victoria's heart one by one. She returned to her company, locked herself in the office, and smashed things like a madwoman. Caleb Stone, I want you dead. Julian stood by, his face equally grim. Victoria, don't be angry. He's just a dog who climbed a high branch, nothing special. We just need to lift a finger to turn him back into a stray cur. Victoria took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. She picked up the phone and began utilizing her network. Hello, CEO Wong. This is Victoria Sterling. Help me investigate someone named Caleb Stone. I want all his data. Yes, I want to make sure he never raises his head in this city again. She and Julian both believed I had just gotten lucky and was picked up by Alexandra. As long as they cut off my connection with Alexandra, I would be nothing. Soon, they found out I had joined an investment firm called Vantage Capital, a company in Chicago that wasn't big or small, quite obscure. Vantage Capital? Victoria Znidith. The boss is David Miller. He begged me for investment before. She immediately found David Miller's number and dialed. The call connected quickly. Mr. Miller, this is Victoria Sterling. David Miller on the other end sounded terrified and flattered, his voice stuttering. Ms. Sterling? What? Why are you calling me? Does your company have an employee named Caleb Stone? Victoria got straight to the point. Yes. Fire him immediately. Victoria Stone bruk no argument. Get him out of Chicago. I don't want to see this person again. David Miller fell silent on the other end, seeming to hesitate. Ms. Sterling, this might not be good. Not good. Victoria's voice turned cold. David Miller, did you forget who pulled you up when your company almost went bankrupt last year? I can bring you back to life, and I can also send you back to the Stone Age overnight. I'll give you 3 minutes to consider. Offend me for a small employee, or I'll fire him. I'll fire him right now. David Miller immediately capitulated, fear filling his tone. Hanging up, a smile of pleasure finally appeared on Victoria's face. She wanted to let Caleb know the consequences of defying her. She turned on a speakerphone and, in front of Julian, dialed my number. She wanted to hear my begging and repentance with her own ears. The call connected. I was sitting in the chairman's office on the top floor of Vantage Capital. Alexandra sat opposite me, elegantly sipping coffee and admiring the scenery outside the window. Caleb. Victoria's icy voice came from the receiver. This is the price of defying me. You are now fired. Get out of Chicago. Otherwise, I'll make sure you can't even beg for food. Julian added smugly from his side. A dog should look like a dog. If it doesn't listen, break its legs and throw it out. I chuckled softly. Ms. Sterling, are you sure you want to fire me? My calmness made Victoria feel a tinge of unease. Who do you think you're talking to? She scoffed. I didn't answer her, but called out to the office door. Mr. Miller, come in for a second. The office door pushed open. David Miller, who had just been submissive to Victoria on the phone, now stood before me sweating profusely, bowed at a 90-degree angle. Chairman, you asked for me. I ignored him and simply pressed the speaker button. To the other end of the phone, I spoke clearly word by word. Victoria, I forgot to introduce myself. The majority shareholder of this company is me. As for you, I paused, enjoying the dead silence on the other end. The partner for that $3 billion Skyring project of yours seems to be me as well. Now, I formally notify you, the collaboration is canceled. On the other end, Victoria's breathing was clearly audible. I could imagine her pale face and teetering body. Caleb, you. Her words were fragmented, full of shock and chaos. I didn't give her a chance to continue and hung up directly. Beautifully done. Alexandra put down her coffee cup and applauded me. I can't wait to see her expression next. I leaned back in the boss's chair, swiveled halfway, and looked out the window. This is just the beginning. In the CEO's office of the Sterling Group, Victoria sat on the floor, so lost. The phone slid from her weak hand, the screen shattering. Julian was also dumbfounded. Victoria, what did he just say? He's the boss of Vantage Capital? How is that possible? Victoria didn't answer. Her mind was blank, only my last sentence echoing in her ears. Collaboration canceled. Ring, ring, ring. The internal line on the desk rang frantically. It was her secretary. Ms. Sterling, bad news. Vantage Capital unilaterally tore up the contract. Our company's stock price has started to plummet. Ms. Sterling, the directors are waiting for you in the conference room, demanding an explanation. Ms. Sterling, are you listening? Victoria snapped back to reality. She rushed over and grabbed the phone. I know. She hung up, hands bracing on the table, gasping for air. No, it couldn't end like this. She picked up another phone, fingers trembling, and dialed my private number. The number she had blocked countless times, now retrieved from the blacklist. Sorry, the number you have dialed is busy. I rejected the call. She didn't give up, dialing again and again. Finally, the call connected, but the one answering was a female voice. It was Alexandra. Ms. Sterling, is something the matter? Alexandra's voice carried a lazy smile. Caleb is very busy right now. He has no time to take your call. Where is he? Put him on. Victoria's voice was hysterical. Oh, he's in the shower. Alexandra's tone became even more playful. If you have a real emergency, you can wait downstairs at Vantage Capital, though he might not necessarily see you. With that, Alexandra hung up directly. Victoria gripped the phone, the blood in her body seeming to congeal. In the shower? In Alexandra's hotel room? Massive humiliation and jealousy almost drove her mad. But reason told her she had to beg me now. For the company, for her career, she had to lay down all her dignity. Like a madwoman, she rushed out of the office and drove to Vantage Capital. An hour later, she appeared in front of the Vantage Capital building. She tidied her messy hair and clothes, stepped in her high heels, and walked into the resplendent lobby. Hello, I'm looking for Caleb Stone. The receptionist looked up, revealing a professional smile. Do you have an appointment? I'm Victoria Sterling. She stated her name, thinking it would clear all paths here. However, the receptionist just checked the computer and shook her head apologetically. I'm sorry, Ms. Sterling, you have no appointment. Chairman Stone's schedule is full this afternoon. I'm afraid he has no time to see you. Chairman Stone? This title stung Victoria's ears. Tell him I'm waiting for him here. Victoria gritted her teeth and sat on a sofa in the lobby. She didn't believe I could hide from her forever. This wait lasted 3 hours. From afternoon to dusk, people came and went in the lobby, but only she sat there like a statue. Countless eyes fell on her, carrying inquiry, curiosity, and a hint of mockery. The once high and mighty Tho Sterling, now waiting bitterly for a man like an abandoned wife. She finally understood the feelings I had waiting downstairs at her company countless times over the past 3 years. That humility, that helplessness, that humiliation of being ignored. The sky gradually darkened. Just as she was about to despair, the elevator doors opened with a ding. I walked out with Alexandra in my arm, chatting and laughing. I didn't even glance at her, walking straight past her, as if she were just a transparent decoration. Caleb, she finally couldn't hold back, standing up to call me. I stopped, looked back, a trace of impatience on my face. Something. 2 simple words, cold, without a trace of warmth. Victoria looked at my stranger-like expression, her heart convulsing in pain. She took a deep breath, suppressing the humiliation in her heart, trying to make her voice sound calm. Can we talk? About the Sky Ring project. I looked as if I'd heard something funny. Talk. Ms. Sterling, do you think there's anything left to talk about between us? Alexandra, holding my arm, looked at Victoria with a beaming smile. Ms. Sterling, Caleb's time is precious. Not just anyone can book it. If you want to beg him to change his mind, I advise you to save it. Victoria's face flashed red and white. She clenched her fists tightly, nails digging into her flesh. Caleb, I know I was wrong. She lowered her head, a tremor in her voice. I was wrong before. I apologize to you. Please, give me another chance, and give Sterling Group a chance. This was the first time she had bowed her head to admit a mistake to anyone. I looked at her humble appearance, feeling no ripple in my heart, only finding it laughable. Apologize? Is CEO Sterling's apology this cheap? I walked up to her, looking down from above. If you want me to change my mind, it's not impossible. Victoria snapped her head up, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Name it. As long as I can do it, anything. All right. I leaned in close, whispering so only she could hear. Tomorrow morning at 9, come to my office. Bring the transfer papers for all the equity in your company. Use your company to trade for the Sky Ring project. Victoria's pupils dilated instantly, looking at me in disbelief. You are humiliating me. So what if I am? I straightened up and dusted off my suit. I'll give you one night to consider. Don't be late. With that, I walked out of the building with Alexandra, never looking back, leaving Victoria alone, frozen in place, cold all over. The next day, 9:00 a.m. Victoria came. She wore a business suit, her face haggard, heavy dark circles under her eyes. But her eyes held a desperate resolve. She placed a document on my desk. This is what you wanted. It was the equity transfer agreement for the Sterling Group. She was truly willing to trade the entire company for my forgiveness. I picked up the file and flipped through it casually. Alexandra sat on the nearby sofa, holding a cup of coffee, looking like she was watching a good show. CEO, Sterling really has guts. I chuckled. However, you seem to have misunderstood one thing. I said yesterday to bring the equity transfer papers, but I didn't say I would definitely agree. Victoria's face turned deathly pale instantly. You played me. Played you. I threw the file back in front of her. Victoria, you didn't naively think a broken agreement could cancel out the damage you did to me over the past 3 years, did you? I stood up, walked in front of her, and picked up the other document she brought, the proposal for the Sky Ring project. In front of her face, I tore it up page by page. Your business plan is full of holes, childish and laughable. Fake data, insufficient risk assessment, overly optimistic market forecasts. With garbage like this, you want $3 billion in investment. Victoria, you're not fit to be a business person at all. Every sentence was like a knife, precisely stabbing into her heart, dismissing the professionalism and ability she was so proud of as worthless. Paper scraps drifted like snowflakes, landing at her feet. She looked at the mess on the floor, her body teetering. Why? She muttered to herself, eyes full of regret and pain. Why treat me like this? Why? I let out a cold laugh. You should ask your precious childhood sweetheart, Julian Thorne, that question. If not for him, maybe you'd still be your CEO, Sterling. It's a pity. He's about to be unable to save himself. Victoria looked up sharply. What do you mean? I didn't answer her, just picked up my phone and dialed a number. You could begin. While Victoria was being humiliated by me completely, a siege against Julian also formally kicked off. After I cut off Julian's financial path, he didn't fare well. Accustomed to a life of spending money like water, without Victoria's support, he quickly fell into dire straits. He went to Victoria for money but was shut out by the overwhelmed CEO. In desperation, he thought of the most vicious method, blackmail. He still kept many intimate photos and videos taken when he was with Victoria in the past. He sent a message to Victoria. Victoria, for old time's sake, give me $50 million. Otherwise, I can't guarantee these things won't get out. Receiving the message, Victoria was struck by lightning. She never expected the man she had loved so deeply would use this method to threaten her. Fearful and angry, her first thought was actually to call me. After the call connected, she was sobbing uncontrollably. "Caleb, save me." I listened to her crying on the other end, my heart unmoved. All of this was within my expectations. Reading the book in my past life, I knew the character Julian was scum to the core. "Send me the address," I said coldly. The place Julian asked to meet her was a private room in a high-end clubhouse. Today, there happened to be a gathering of elites there. Almost every prominent figure in Chicago would be present. When Victoria rushed to the clubhouse, I was already waiting there. With me was Alexandra. "Why are you here?" Seeing Alexandra, Victoria's expression was unnatural. "To watch the show." Alexandra was concise. I ignored the undercurrents between them and said directly to Victoria, "Go in later and do as I say." Although confused, right now, I was her only straw to clutch at. She could only nod. The three of us walked into the party hall together. On the giant screen in the center of the hall, boring financial news was playing. Julian was already waiting in a corner booth. Seeing Victoria, he immediately came up, a smile of inevitable victory on his face. "Victoria, you figured out?" He saw me, paused, then revealed a scornful expression. "Yo, brought a helper? What, afraid I'll eat you?" Victoria, following my instructions, looked at him coldly. "Julian, are you really going to do this?" "Cut the crap." Julian was impatient. "Did you bring the money?" "As soon as the funds clear, I promise to delete everything completely." "Fine." Victoria pulled a bank card from her bag. "The password is your birthday." A flash of greed crossed Julian's eyes, and he reached out to grab it. Just then, the giant screen in the center of the hall flickered. The footage of financial news instantly switched. Appearing on screen was Julian's face, written over with greed and menace. And every word he had just spoken was broadcast clearly through the sound system to the entire hall. "Did you bring the money?" "As soon as the funds clear, I promise to delete everything completely." Dead silence filled the room. Everyone stopped talking, staring at the big screen in shock. The color drained from Julian's face instantly. He whipped around and saw me standing not far away, phone in hand, pointing it at him. "Caleb, it's you." Like a mad beast, he lunged at me. Unfortunately, before he could touch me, two bodyguards who appeared out of nowhere pinned him firmly to the floor. "Let go of me. Caleb, you bastard. I'll kill you." He struggled frantically, cursing. But it was all futile. The video of him blackmailing his ex-girlfriend with intimate photos had been live-streamed in its entirety. Hundreds of elites present were witnesses. By the next day, the video was viral all over the internet. Julian was thoroughly ruined. Expelled from school, publicly disowned by his family and the newspapers, he became a rat crossing the street that everyone wanted to beat. His life was completely destroyed. At the gathering where Julian was ruined, Victoria became the biggest laughingstock. Although she was the victim, the elites present looked at her with pity and disdain. A woman who couldn't even see through a man running such a large company. What future could she have? All kinds of nasty comments pierced her ears like needles. Didn't expect Sterling to be fooled by such scum for so many years. And for him, she drove away the person who was truly good to her. Blind as a bat. Serves her right. Victoria stood in the crowd, face pale, tottering. Her pride and dignity were completely shattered in this moment. Just then, Alexandra walked up to her, holding a glass of champagne. Her red dress made her look even more radiant. She looked down at Victoria, as if looking at a loser. "Ms. Sterling, how does it feel?" Victoria's lips moved, but she couldn't say a word. "I told you long ago, your taste is terrible." Alexandra swirled the liquid in her glass, her tone holding a hint of mockery. "Whether picking men or partners, your judgment is ridiculously poor." She finished and turned to walk toward me. In full view of everyone, she took my arm, wearing a victor smile. "However, I still have to thank you. If not for your stupidity, I wouldn't have had the chance to place the correct bet on Caleb. A rough diamond like him was really gathering dust in your hands." Alexandra's words were like the sharpest blade, slicing Victoria's heart into pieces. She used Victoria's failure to highlight her own success, used Victoria's stupidity to contrast her own brilliance. The guests around us changed their gaze toward me too. No longer disdain and slight, but with added awe and inquiry. A man who could make the Pierce heiress so devoted and destroy the Thorne heir and topple the Sterling group while chatting and laughing was definitely not ordinary. I became the focus of the entire venue, and Victoria became the most pathetic background decoration. She watched me standing with Alexandra, a perfect match. A tide of regret she had never felt before drowned her. She finally realized what exactly she had missed. She lost not just someone who loved her, but a priceless treasure that could have let her stand on a higher peak. When the party ended, I left with Alexandra. Passing by Victoria, I didn't even stop, just gave her a faint glance. That glance was full of indifference and coldness, as if looking at a stranger who had nothing to do with me. Victoria couldn't hold on any longer. Her legs went soft, and she collapsed to the floor. Endless darkness swallowed her completely. Since then, Victoria fell ill. Her company was on the verge of bankruptcy. Her reputation swept away, her allies deserting her. Friends and partners who once surrounded her vanished overnight. She locked herself in her empty mansion, seeing no one, answering no calls. She stared blankly day and night. In her mind, scenes of the past 3 years with me began to replay uncontrollably. Details she once disdained, or even found annoying, now turned into sharp blades, repeatedly cutting her heart. She remembered countless rainy nights where I would appear downstairs at her company on time, holding an umbrella and a clean jacket. And she would always keep a cold face, getting straight into Julian's car and speeding away, leaving me alone in the rain like a fool. She remembered every time she got dead drunk from socializing, I silently carried her home, made hangover soup, and left quietly. But when she woke up, she took it all for granted. She remembered once when the company project had a major flaw, I didn't sleep for 3 days and nights to create a perfect solution, saving her from the board's accountability. Yet at the meeting, she claimed all the credit, not even saying thank you to me. She remembered I once told her, "Victoria, I will stay with you forever." Her response at the time was, "Stop talking nonsense, just do your job." She remembered I blocked a bottle for her from a thug, my forehead bleeding, but she only cared if her skirt got dirty. She remembered on my birthday, I joyfully prepared a candlelight dinner, but she made me wait until midnight just to accompany Julian to a movie. One by one, piece by piece, all were her debts to me. That love she ignored, those feelings she trampled on, now surged toward her like a tsunami, suffocating her. She finally admitted how ridiculously wrong she was. She thought my loving her was a law of nature. She thought my sacrifices were mandatory. She thought no matter how she treated me, I wouldn't leave. Until I really left, she discovered she had long become accustomed to my existence. Accustomed to my goodness. Accustomed to my tolerance. Accustomed to my meticulous care. When all this vanished, her world collapsed with it. "Caleb, Caleb." She called my name over and over in the empty room. Her tears had long dried up. Only endless regret and emptiness remained in her heart. She rummaged through every corner of the house like a madwoman, trying to find some trace of me. Finally, in an old box in the study, she found a diary I left behind. The notebook was old, the paper yellowed. Recorded inside was everything about her. Today is the first day I fell in love with Victoria. She is like a light, illuminating my world. Today, Victoria smiled at me. I was happy all day. Today, Victoria is sick. I feel so distressed. If I could, I would bear all the pain for her. Today, I saw her with Julian again. I'm sad, but I tell myself as long as I can stay by her side, it's enough. The last page of the diary had one sentence. Mission countdown, 365 days. I really, truly can't hold on much longer. But I seem to have really fallen in love with her. Reading this, Victoria could no longer control herself, hugging the diary and wailing loudly. Turns out he loved me that much. Turns out he was in that much pain too. And I personally pushed this love into the abyss. Waking from regret, Victoria seemed to become a different person. She began to imitate my past self, trying to win me back. She was no longer the high and mighty female CEO, but became a humble pursuer. The crematorium officially opened. She would appear downstairs at my company on time every day, rain or shine. Sometimes she brought lunch boxes she made herself. Sometimes she sent ties she carefully selected. But more often, she just stood there silently, watching me from afar, daring not approach. Every time I passed her, I turned a blind eye. I never accepted the things she sent. The lunch she brought, I had the receptionist throw straight into the trash. Her eyes looking at me were full of pleading and pain, but my eyes looking at her held only coldness and indifference. Once I deliberately leaked news that I had a cold. She immediately stewed chicken soup and waited downstairs all night. When I went downstairs the next day, I saw her leaning against the wall, face pale, shivering. Seeing me, she immediately ran over carrying the thermos. "Caleb, I heard you were sick. I made soup for you. Drink it while it's hot." Her voice was thick with congestion. Obviously, she had caught a cold too. I stopped and looked at her. A flash of joy crossed her eyes, thinking my heart had softened. I took the thermos from her hand. Then, right in front of her, I handed it to the cleaning lady sweeping nearby. "Ma'am, it's cold out. Take this to warm up. The cleaning lady was flattered. Chairman Stone, this is too expensive. It's fine. I spoke faintly, my voice not loud, but enough for Victoria to hear clearly. Gifts from others have terrible taste. I find them dirty. Victoria's face went white in an instant. She looked at me in disbelief, her body swaying, almost falling. This was exactly how I used to be humiliated by her, time and again. The things I gave her, she handed straight to Julian. Everything I did for her was worthless in her eyes. Now, I was simply returning everything she had inflicted on me, untouched. Caleb, her lips trembled, wanting to speak. I couldn't be bothered to give her another glance, got directly into the car, and drove away. In the rearview mirror, her figure grew smaller and smaller, finally becoming a lonely black dot. I drove with a blank expression. Alexander sat in the passenger seat, handing me a tissue. Wipe your hands. You touched something unclean. I took the tissue and wiped every finger meticulously, as if what I had just touched was some disgusting virus. Victoria's pursuit didn't stop because of my humiliation. Instead, it intensified. She started texting me hundreds of times a day, from good morning to good night, reporting her every move. The content was humble to the dust. Caleb, I want to see your favorite movie today. If only you were here. Caleb, I'll learn to make your favorite sweet and sour ribs. When can you taste them? Caleb, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please talk to me, okay? I never replied to a single one. I let those messages drown in the phone's notification bar. The colder I was, the crazier she became. She seemed to feel that as long as she persisted, one day she could chase me back. She was too naive. She didn't know that everything I did was never to make her change her mind. I just wanted her to taste the bitterness I suffered back then. What I wanted was not her love. It was her regret, her pain, her eternal lack of peace. It was a stormy night. I was driving home from the company. The wiper swung rapidly, but couldn't clear the pouring rain. When the car reached an intersection, a figure suddenly rushed out from the roadside, arms spread, blocking my car. I slammed on the brakes. Tires screeched on the wet ground, the hood stopping less than 4 inches from the person. It was Victoria. She was soaked through, black hair plastering her face, rain streaming down her cheeks, indistinguishable from tears. She stood there in front of my car, motionless, like a statue of despair. I frowned and honked the horn. She didn't react. I lowered the window and looked at her coldly. If you want to die, do it somewhere else. Don't dirty my car. My voice cut through the rain curtain, reaching her ears clearly. Her body trembled, and she finally moved. She walked to my window and, with a thud, knelt down. The icy rain mixed with the mud on the ground instantly soaked her expensive dress. She looked up at me in the car, her face showing unprecedented humility and despair. Caleb, I was wrong. Her voice was broken in the rain. I really know I was wrong. Will you forgive me? I love you, Caleb. I only realized now that I fell in love with you long ago. Please don't throw me away. She cried, repenting, trampling her dignity completely underfoot. I watched her quietly, watching this once arrogant woman, now kneeling before me like a dog, wagging her tail and begging for pity. There was no pleasure in my heart, only a dead silence. I finally turned off the engine, rolled the window down further, my expression without a ripple. Victoria. I called her name. Hope's light instantly burst into her eyes, thinking I had finally softened. Stop flattering yourself. My next words, however, instantly knocked her into hell. The simp you miss was just a failed mission of mine, a fake persona. Her expression congealed. I continued, using the calmest tone to speak the cruelest truth. I approached you, pleased you, did everything for you, only to complete a system mission called Winning Victoria Sterling. The mission content was to make you fall in love with me. Unfortunately, you disappointed me too much. The moment the mission failed, I was truly liberated. I watched the color vanish from her face and the extreme fear and collapse in her pupils, and added the final knife. You asked if I love you. Victoria, I never loved you. Not for 1 second. This truth was more cruel than any rejection, any revenge. It negated everything about her. Negated her regret, negated her pain, even negated the love she had just confirmed. It turned out that from start to finish, it was just a scam, a fake game tailored for her. And she was not only the target being played in the game, but also a defective product not even qualified to be successfully won over. No. She let out a mournful scream, as if all her strength had been drawn out, collapsing into the muddy water. Her mental world, at this moment, completely crumbled. I rolled up the window, shutting out her desperate cries. I stepped on the gas, and the car sped away. Welcome to the hell of endless regret. 1 month later, Sterling Group announced bankruptcy. My Vantage Capital acquired all of Sterling's quality assets at the lowest price. At the formal handover ceremony, I saw Victoria. She attended as the representative of the liquidated party. In just 1 month, she seemed to have aged 10 years. Her once bright and moving face was now only numb and hollow. She wore an ill-fitting old suit, hair withered and yellow, eyes unfocused like a walking corpse. Throughout the ceremony, she didn't say a word, just staring at me with those empty eyes. I ignored her. Alexandra and I, as the new owners, signed the documents amidst flashing lights. After the ceremony, reporters swarmed. Chairman Stone, how did you complete the acquisition of Sterling in such a short time? Chairman Stone, when is the wedding date for you and Ms. Pierce? Chairman Stone, do you have anything to say to the former CEO, Victoria Sterling? I picked up the microphone, my gaze sweeping over the desolate figure off stage. Business is war. Winners take all. Nothing to say. As for Ms. Sterling, I wish her a bright future. These 4 words, like a final judgment, utterly crushed Victoria. She looked at me, high-spirited on stage, and Alexandra snuggled beside me, smiling like a flower. Finally, her vision went black, and she fainted completely. Later, I never saw her again. I heard she was sent to a mental institution. Sometimes lucid, sometimes mad. When lucid, she would hug a tattered diary, muttering to herself, "He loved me. He clearly loved me." When mad, she would kneel on the ground, crying out to the air, "I was wrong, Caleb, I was wrong." Later still, Alexandra and I appeared on the cover of the latest financial magazine. The headline was "The New Age Business Myth, Caleb Stone and His Capital Empire." In the photo, I wore a tailored suit, full of spirit. Alexandra held my arm, smiling sweetly and happily. Somehow, this magazine reached Victoria's hands. Looking at us in the photo, she suddenly stopped crying or making noise. She just smiled, a weird, shrill smile. She had lost everything: company, reputation, pride, and the so-called love she desperately wanted to chase back, even kneeling to repent for, was from beginning to end just a scam tailored for her. She was forever trapped in the hell of endless regret she created with her own hands, never to find redemption. Story complete.